He goes inside and saw high-tech machines, maps, and a lot of things. The system told him that aside from the black market, there are also many entertainment facilities for the competent man, and one of them is called a demon pellet. It's a pellet made with a demon's heart. A common currently used among the competent man is one shot is the equivalent of $1,000. Looking at the place, he was amazed because it looked like an abandoned hospital from the outside, but was completely fine on the inside. He also said that it's the reason why he finds parallel worlds interesting. Suddenly, someone asked him if it was his first time there, making him look to his side and saw a security guard. The system told him that security guards can be found on every floor at the Giant Hospital. The guard asks him if he can check his identification card, to which he immediately gives. The guard scanned his identification card and it was clear, so his requested access was granted. He walks up the stairs, deciding that after selling the items he got from Durham Academy, he should go check out the black market. He saw stains everywhere, and the system told him that it was a black organism, and it's plastered around the entire inner walls of the Giant Hospital. Also, it was originally a demon mushroom that spread a powerful neurotoxin. He continues to walk up the stairs, amazed that the writer even added in the small details and thinks there really isn't any gap in the writer's settings. He arrived at the top of the stairs wondering if it was the place and saw a lot of people, making him say that there wasn't anyone on the street. So yes, they were all there, and saw different classes like martial artists, magician, and elf. He also notices that the seller is promoting their business and the buyers buying, looking around and more, making him excitedly say that the place really is a black market, and who would expect that it was placed inside a hospital. Suddenly, he heard loud footsteps nearby and was amazed to see an orc warrior. He knows that there are a lot of setting the writer made, but the writer really gives him a hell of a lot of things to see. One of the people noticed him. The man told her friend that he was the one who rated the Durham piano and the current #1 person on the internet search list. Hearing if he was pleased, but he heard the girl says she heard that he just got lucky. He looks back to see the people who are talking about him, and they stop immediately. Then the writer appeared, telling him that since they're there with the goblins, they should use it, and the wine is hard to carry around since it's liquid, so they should ask them to make a resurrection device using the Golden String Kingdom's technology. He looks at the small goblin while telling the writer that he could have told him that earlier, and he would have done it in the first place, but the writer told him that it is obvious that the fellow goblin he was looking at won't be able to make something great, so the one they need to talk to is the owner of that building. He replied that he guessed it won't be that bad to be acquainted with a big shot for the story, and asked the writer how can he meet the owner, but the writer disappeared, making the small goblin ask him what did he say. The writer was gone, but he's given him a hint, and he has an idea. Then he asks the small goblin how about he'll only take 10 shots as payment, and he'll get the remaining in another way, but it turned around and told him that if he's going to make a commission, he has come to the wrong store, and told him to go to the 5th floor. He told him that he haven't finished yet and should let him finish, and he can decide afterward. Then he told the goblin that it was about something related to his Golden String Kingdom Secretary of War Torque, and asked if he was really not going to listen, making it look back at him. Knowing that he got the goblin's attention, he told it that if you don't know about it, but Secretary Torque has been looking for his lost brother even since the dimension collision, and he know where he is. He also said that he knows he'll get into big trouble if he's lying, but on the other hand, if he was telling the truth. And he asks the goblin if he doesn't think the secretary would give him credit for helping him reunite with his brother. He knows that he was able to make an incredible treasure like the first heaven's decree of original fire, so there is no saying that he can't make up a lost brother for the secretary. He decided to make connections with the secretary Turgeon, make a life and death wine resurrection device with the Golden String Kingdom's technology. The goblin said the stakes are too high and it's way higher than the value of his own life, but he wouldn't be a goblin if he didn't take the offer now, and he nodded in agreement, the goblin told him that even if it costs him his life, he'll have to take up that offer, and the bigger the stakes, the more reason he has to take it. The system told him that the character Dr. Chegel, who's the small goblin, has been upgraded to extra from a supporting role. The notes showed him that the goblin Chegel made up his mind that nobody could have expected that the small black market merchant would eventually become a great merchant, lightly influential in the larger world. In Chegel, the great war merchant, and so the great legend began. Also, Chapter 4 is 100 complete. Reading it, he was stunned in horror because it sounds like it was foreshadowing someone's death, like a cursed sentence. Chegel told him that he's off, and he better hope that he come back, and if he don't, then that was going to mean it was his turn. He waved back, saying goodbye to Mr. Legend. A few hours later, most of the store was closed, and he was sitting on the ground playing rock, paper, scissors himself, wondering how long it'll take for their legend to return. Suddenly, someone walks toward him, and the man asks him if his Lee Hwan the Darren piano. He looks up confused and stands up to face the man, furiously asking the writer who is it this time, but the writer was excited and told him that there's a really cool arena there, so it would be a shame if they don't use it, making him surprised. He thinks that it's not a great idea if the sole purpose of writing a new page is just to show the arena and nothing more, so he wonders what should he do. Then he notices that the man looks so full of himself that he reminds him of someone. Then he stared at the man. The man asked him if he knows him. He replied that he do, and told him that he was Jang Young of the Blood Clan. The system showed him that in the future Jang become the elder of the Blood Clan, the evil Loach, and Jang told him that he do have quite a reputation around there. Even though Jang's still young, he still has some of the Lotus features, and Lee Hwan could remember his opponent's Zhang Sliminer earned the evil Loach his name, and before, when regressed, he lost his dear follower to the Blood Clan, so in order to punish them for what they'd done, he sought out the Blood Clan, and after a gruesome battle, he succeeded in killing the evil Loach of the Blood Clan. It was the setting he made up on the spot, making himself proud. Jang told him that he's really lucky and asked if is it even true that the Durham Piano Academy's boss is Baron. Jang also told him that they have been touting him as the new start that appeared out of nowhere, but he can't really believe that until he see it with his own eyes. He looks at Jang, knowing that the setting he made is still not enough of a reason to fight him, so he needs something more. Than he notices the sword hanging on Jang's belt. He smiled and walked closer to Jang while telling him that he recently heard a rumor that a promising great disciple of the Blood Clan stole the clan's secret weapon and ran away. He taps the sword and asks him if that is the secret weapon, the Blood Clan's ancient dragon sword, making him furious. Ancient dragon sword treasure is a valuable sword of the Blood Clan that even allowed someone who isn't a first-rate martial artist to create a Kai sword, and there exists an exclusive martial arts technique in the Blood Clan solely for the ancient dragon sword. Also, if an expert wields it, a long and unique Kai intent occurs, and the sword is able to flex and curve like a whip depending on its stroke. Before Hwan regressed, it was also the main weapon of one of the people that killed him. He was the Death Sword King in the past. Lee Hwan knocked on death's door multiple times. Due to the Death Sword King's impressive sword feast, he was shocked knowing it and asked if does it mean there are several people who killed Lee Hwan, but the writer just told him that they'll talk about it later. Jang told him that he have got some sharp eyes and asked if he was really a newbie. He replied that he seems like he don't believe in his skills and asked why don't they put everything they have on the line and had a winner takes all fight. Jen holds his sword tightly while asking him if he really thinks he can beat him and if isn't afraid of who he was. Jang also told him that moreover he have nothing to gain from fighting him other than some demon pallets, but he told him that he has demon essence, making him confused. He showed the demon essence to Jang while telling him that he think he'll be interested in that little thing. Jang swear and surprised and asked him if it was real, but he immediately hid it and asked Jong how about he bet the demon essence, and he bet his sword. Jang disappointedly told him that he can't believe he got a demon essence on his first parallel world raid. While someone was going around risking their life, but someone else is taking all the goods out of pure luck. He replied that they'll see whether it was out of pure luck or not, planning to get rid of the evil Loach who's going to be the elder of the Blood Clan and take hold of his enemies, the Death Sword King's precious treasure, to say it simply. He planning killing two birds with one stone, and asked Jang if is he in or not. He laughed while telling him how wonderful to present himself, and he was thankful for proposing the offer and asked if shall they start their winner takes all battle. Later in the arena, the system explained that the arena played a large role in the Giano Hospital Black Market's growth. Fighters go one-on-one inside a huge cage that is surrounded by multiple layers of protection magic, and the audience places their bets on who they believe will win. Also, participants can choose any weapon they wish from the weapon stand. However, being wary of the weapon's quality would be wise. While he was looking for a weapon, Chegel asked him what had he done if is mad, and why is he starting a match. Chegel also asks him if does he really not know who the Blood Clanners are, and told him that a match against a great disciple of the Blood Clan is dangerous. He replied that he got lucky, and that if he defeat Jen, any doubts people had about him will vanish, making Chegel ask him what is he saying. He replied that people still don't believe that he's the one who successfully raided the Dharam piano situation, making Chegel speechless for a moment. Then Chegel asks him if he's really for real, but he just asks him back what the higher-ups say. Chegel replied that he was only told to wait until further notice, and they're probably digging through his background. He thinks maybe that is an opportunity, and he can use the battle to make himself more known to the public. But first he asks Chegel if he can give him 10 shots, but Chegel told him that he owes him none. He asks him if did he forget to pay him, and Chegel asks him back if he is sure he's the raider of Dharam piano, but he just told him that he'll find out when he sees the match. He put the sword he choose on the table, telling the seller that he'll take it, and also he'd like to change his grade to master. The announcer told the audience that their next match is about to begin, while the system explained that in the arena people are able to bet based on the information the participant gives. Whether the given information is true or false is up to the bettor to figure out, and winner takes all matches. No matter what happens, the winner of the match will take all of the losers' belongings. The screen showed his and Jang faces, and the announcer told the audience that due to the participants' request, Lee Hwan's grade has been changed to master, making the audience shocked and calling American Dutch courage and more because they don't believe him. He smiles confidently and doesn't care about the audience's words. Then the system showed the Miriam grade world setting. Master is a level of martial prowess where one can use Kai materialization and energy armor, usually the elders of large prestigious families, the successor or clan leaders, fall under that grade. He told Chegel that the odds are 9-1 and asked if he can't put more money on him, but Chegel replied that it's not wise to bet everything on one match, and he's not going to press his luck and fail miserably. He pouted annoyingly and told Chegel to not say he didn't warn him. Then he walked toward the stage while telling Chegel that he'll be back when they were both on the stage. The announcer told the audience that their next match will be the main match of the day, then introduces the Blood Clan's great disciple Jang Young and the main star who raided the Dharam Piano Academy parallel world, Lee Hwan. While looking at his opponent, he notices that Jang thinks that the match will be an easy win for him and wonders if Jang not going to use the ancient dragon sword. Suddenly someone in the audience shouted to tell him that he bet on him, making him surprised, and the others who supported him cheered for him too, making him wonder why his heart beating so fast. If he getting caught up in the atmosphere, and what the hell is the feeling he currently feeling? The note pop-up showing him that a pleasant pounding rippled through Lee Hwan's chest at the sight of the Death Sword King's precious weapon, the ancient dragon sword. Jang Yang, who wasn't the evil Loach yet, was just standing there and willingly presenting the sword to him, so there was no reason for him to not be excited. Moreover, just thinking of the Death Sword King, without his almighty ancient dragon sword, was more than enough to have Jang Young beaming with joy. He agreed to the note he just read and said he can't help but feel happy in that situation. The announcer starts the match. Jang doubts that he's really a master grade and told him that if that's true, then he should survive in that ring, and if he does, then he'll let him go with his life intact. He just smiled and told him that he'll soon see whether or not he's a master, then released his Kai. The audiences were surprised to see it and heard the announcer telling them that it was Kai materialization. With no doubt, Jang steps back and surprised and asks him if it's really kind materialization. But he just replied that he still has more surprises up his sleeve. Before he stepped foot in the cage, he used one of the Heavenly Demon's grand 12 pressure point techniques on his body. It was wrath that changes Kai energy into energy of another nature and changes Kai energy accumulated by the Heavenly Demon's lotus breathing technique into the energy of the unchanging cultivation technique. Jane was shocked, and he stepped back, telling him to hold on, and said something was not right there. He told Jang to watch closely, then uses the unchanging 7-strike sword technique. It consists of a total of 7 techniques, and it becomes more powerful as each technique is used in succession. If one lacks sufficient skill in martial arts, there's a fatal disadvantage of having to see the technique through to the end of the chain, and he can't stop in the middle or use another technique. He jumped toward him and stabbed him using First Strike White Force Sword. Unfortunately, it hit Jang's armor. He was thrown away and hit the cage fence. He falls to the ground and look at his chest and thinks that it weren't for the artifact he was wearing, he would have been in big trouble when lunches toward him. Then uses the second strike Drifting Soul to attack Jang. Unfortunately, he misses, and making Jang shock, he shakingly grabs his sword on the ground, realizing that when Bastard doesn't look like he's going to stop anytime soon, so he needs to do something. He readies his sword to attack again. Jang immediately ready his sword to block it, wanting to get out of there alive. Then he swings it forward and attack Jang using his third strike long slash, breaking Jang's sword into pieces and hitting him a little. He fearfully look at Wayne's confident face. He kneeled to the ground, wondering if he is going to die. He clenches his hand in anger and thinks he won't die a meaningless death in a place like it, knowing that he still has the ancient dragon sword. He thinks if he used the ancient dragon sword there, he'd be announcing himself as the thief who stole it, but he knows he has no other choice, and he'll think of the consequences after he gets out of there alive. Wayne told him that he'll finish him off now. Then Jang stand up and start running. While running, he uses the Blood Clan's lightness skill, Ruthless Whirlwind. He knows that he won't be able to keep when trapped within the Ruthless Whirlwind for long, but it'll be enough for him to retrieve the ancient dragon sword. He confidently thinks even if Hwan is a master, he is no match for the Blood Clan's treasure, the ancient dragon sword, when stamped on the ground hard, making the Ruthless Whirlwind slowly disappear. Jang was surprised and stopped to look at him, wondering how was he able to destroy it so quickly. He can't believe it, but his doubt faded away because he was surprised to see when launching toward him, and before Jang can react, he was hit by fourth strike crescent cut of Hwan. Jang kneeled to the ground lifeless and collapsed, making the announcers announce that it was over in the winner's lead. When Chegel can believe that he really won, but the audience was cheering for Hwan, while the announcers told everyone that after decades of hosting such battles, it sure has been a while since he have seen such skills. But the whole stop everyone because he noticed when swinging his sword in the air, he used the fifth strike, splitting skies in the air, while thinking that a technique that he needed to see the end of once he started is the unchanging 7-strike sword technique. His sword slowly broke and explode because of the power, but he still jumps while swinging his broken sword in the air while using the 6-strike blinding sun, and making the audience shock because they can't believe that it was the technique that was created by the unchanging Reaper, the legendary martial artists. Chegel asks if Hwan inherits the legendary martial art technique. The system showed the unchanging 7-strike sword technique Training of Lee Hwan's past before being regressed. Lee Hwan wasn't able to succeed in learning the Heavenly Demon's Fist technique at the time. Lee Hwan also trained in the Heavenly Demon Sword technique in an attempt to overcome the wall that was holding him back. However, it didn't help. He exhales while the system shows him that while being in such a state, he came across the unchanging 7-strike sword technique that has been roaming the black market streets, and the reason why Lee Hwan paid attention to the unchanging 7-strike sword technique was the 7 techniques. Then he swings his broken sword using the 7th strike final blow toward the cage fence. The system showed him that first Yang Kai, a unique life force described as similar to the flaming heavens, and it's because its known forms are similar to the heavenly demon's divine arts. His powerful attack hit the cage fence and broke in half. The host told everyone not to be alarmed and that he can't believe what he saw with his own eyes. One of the cage walls, with 6 layers of enhanced magic, has just been crushed by a single strike. The host shows him on the screen while praising him and told the stunned audience that what participant Lee Hwan has said was true. He is a master. After that, his eyes changes back to normal and was shocked to hear the host announce that it was the moment of truth where they witnessed the birth of a new star, and the winner of the match is their new star, Master Lee Hwan. He was confused about what happened and if he was too into it because he have won before even realizing it. The audience cheered on him, loudly calling his name while he was confused looking at the broken ground in front of him. The host told him that everything was incredible and asked him if he would like to give a speech to the audience. He grabbed the microphone and told everyone that he hope everyone can see that he's the raider of the Darren piano, and if they still can't believe it, then he'll give them a chance to challenge him right now, so come on out and fight him fair and square. The host said it was a bold claim. While the security took Jang out off the stage behind them, the host told everyone that if there was no one then it conclude the match. Then he thanked Hwan for showing the art of a master on their stage, and they will especially reward him with 200 shots as the winner and ask everyone to give their new star a big round of applause. The note said the arena was filled to the brim with the sound of people cheering, and everyone looked at Lee Hwan. However, they weren't able to notice what Lee Hwan had earned. Then the system showed that Chapter 5 is 100 complete. Later, in front of the Chegel's weapons store, there are a lot of people there looking for him while he was looking at his shots, wondering how many fried chickens can he buy with it, and thinks that it should be enough to satisfy the Sun and Moon divine generals. Also, there's the ancient dragon sword on top of it. He teasingly told Chegel that it must be disappointing for him, and he told him to bet on him. Chegel poutingly asks him how should he have known it, and asked him what had he been looking for since earlier. Again, he replied artifacts, and asked him if he got any good stuff in there, because he think the artifact is what helped Jang Young hold out for quite a while, so he don't mind the prices. Chegel slammed the table asking him if he didn't have a single artifact with him, and to think he's searching for one just now. Then change his voice, telling him he had a wise choice. Chegel also told him that he's about to become very famous, so of course he'll need it, but ask him if he knows that artifacts are expensive. He replied he know, and told him just to find him something useful. Chegel asked him what is it for magic, martial arts, guns, or demon techniques. He replied that it'd be nice to have a defensive artifact against guns, to which Chegel told him to leave it all to him. Chegel welcomed his manager, and the manager told him that they look forward to working with him in the future, so he should feel free to call him Manager Raw. Looking at Manager Raw, he wonders if isn't he just a literal copy of Chegel. Manager Raw real name is Ragel, his race is Goblin, and he's the administrative manager of the Gianel Hospital, one of the many subordinates of the Secretary of War. Turk Ragel apologized to him for the time they took to get to him, and he replied to not mention it because he also have to follow the system. He told Ragel that in the meantime he has received a lot of help from Chegel, and Chegel has helped him, although it was a pretty dangerous matter, so if things work out, he told Straggle to give Chegel some credit. Chegel taps him while asking him how is it something to be accredited to him and told the manager that it was only natural since he's always indebted to the manager, making him wonder if Chegel trying to give all the credit to the manager. Chegel immediately run behind telling them that he'll pretend that he didn't hear nor see anything Ragel told him not to worry, and he know the world points its fingers at them goblins, but his confidence that no other race returns a favor as sincerely as they do. Then he loosens his necktie while telling him that they should get down to business and seriously ask where is he right now. Looking at Ragel's changed expression makes him feel scared and thinks a story created to meet with the Golden Spring Kingdom Secretary of War Torque, although he did meddle in the arena. It's all going according to plan. Ragel told him that if he is already with him, they'll try to settle things without complicating it, but he replied that it's nothing like it and asked Ragel if he isn't going to ask him how he knew. Ragel replied that His Excellency has only one wish, and if only he could find out where his brother is, everything else will be overlooked. He notices that the amount of determination they have is unbelievable and pulled himself together. Because he knew that he's the Secretary of War, he apologizes, but told Ragel that the Secretary's brother is already by his side, making Ragel shocked and asking him what he means by it. Ragel furiously told him that they have been looking everywhere meticulously, and now he's telling him he was by his side, then told him that they won't forgive him if that happens to be just nonsense, making him realize that it was the foreshadowing and ask Ragel if he know why dark wizards are evil. He explained that the source of their power comes from sadness, pain, and death, nothing less than a demon. He doesn't know which evil dark wizard started making use of it, but what he can tell him right now is that it's all a part of a sinister plot to overthrow the Golden Spring Kingdom by targeting the Secretary of War to work. Benny asked Ragel if he didn't notice that the Secretary has changed while searching for his brother for so long, and explained that it was where their powerful curse comes from. The first curse is sadness, the Secretary's sadness at the loss of his beloved brother and the growth of the Secretary's spirit in sadness as time passes. The second curse is name. How would the younger brother feel being caged for decades and seeing his older brother go insane because of him? Ragel was shocked hearing it and asked him where exactly are he talking about. He replied that it's probably somewhere in something that the Secretary always carries with him, and he doesn't know where and what exactly, but it's one of those things he always has on him. He also told Ragel that they must have maximized the power of their curse by steadily stacking the pain and misery of the two over decades of time. And lastly, the third curse is death. He explained that the younger brother's soul will be torn apart and the curse will be cast on the Secretary, a complete shackle not just to the body but also to the soul, and some evil dark wizard will end up possessing the Secretary. Ragel asks what they even get from doing it, and even if they get the Secretary, but he cut him off by saying they will get the power of the Secretary. He explained that with the power accumulated in the Golden Spring Kingdom for a long time, even a coup, that it would be possible, and just like that they will try to seize the Golden Spring Kingdom itself. The writer was amazed and told him that it was awesome. The story is insane and it was a great idea to bring him around to it after all, but for him it was nothing while Ragel was panicking. Beside him, meanwhile, at his apartment, Sun was sleeping peacefully and Moon was bored of waiting. Moon stands up and shouts that it won't do, making Sun woke up and asked why. Moon told Sun that when Bastard must have run away because he didn't want to take the test, so they should go get him. But Sun just turned around telling him that Wham will probably come and told him to just go back to sleep. Moon walks away telling Sun that if she's not going he'll go by himself, making Sun sit up immediately, asking him where he's going. While Sun and Moon were arguing about him, he come back holding something and asked the Divine General about where are they going, making the Divine General speechless. Later, he present the fried chicken and beer to the Divine General. Sun was happy, saying it was some savory goodness, and Moon was quietly in love with the chicken he was eating. Sun said it was so delicious and asked him what he calls it. He replied that it was fried Chicken and beer together is called chicken, and beer's son told him to go ahead and help himself to then ask him, why isn't he eating it when he have gone through all the trouble to buy it? Then he remembers Raggle telling him that he'll pass it on to the general and he'll contact him soon, that leery feeling of unfinished business, and thinks maybe he should have asked when he is going to get back to him. He told the divine general that they are going back to heaven soon, so they should eat well before they go, and just looking is enough for him. Son asked him if he planning to close the door and if he wants them to go back early moonside, and told him that they have got a lot of work to do when they got back. He replied that he is afraid that the heavenly demons' martial arts sacred texts would be exposed to the outside world if the two of them aren't present, but Son just laugh and ask who would dare to do so when they are the ones guarding it. Son put down the beer and asked him if they can stay there for a while, making him stunned in confusion for a moment. He asks them if there are more tests left perhaps, and wonders if it's a newly made hurdle. Son replied that there are no war tests, and told him what tests when the successor has appeared right in front of them already. He said if that's the case, to be honest, he'd feel more comfortable closing the place, then asked them if both of them are done with their work too, which the divine general agreed. He smiled and told them that turning a blind eye to the plight of two divine generals doesn't seem like something commendable to do as a junior, even more so when he thinks of the times when they too were waiting for the successor of the heavenly demon to show up. Son appreciatingly told him that his soul understanding of them, and Moon told him that he has a bigger heart than he looks. He told them that to make sure they too generals enjoy their stay there, he'll provide them with fried chicken and beer and things to eat, watch, and have fun with in return, along with one condition, and told them that he has something to tell them about him. Son and Moon were confused and asked what it was, and he replied that actually he was killed before he regressed. Well guys, that's the end of the video. If you like this video, comment part 2 in the comments section. Also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and like the video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time again.